everybody. It's your friendly neighborhood kitchen witch here, Susie Bianco, coming to you from the ugliest kitchen in America. Well, we're in a new corner of the ugliest kitchen in America that you haven't seen before. This is my plant corner. And welcome to the first episode of my gardening show, Floramagoria. I couldn't name it something normal. Come on, guys, you know me. So, I am an avid gardener. I come from a family of gardeners who were once farmers in southern Italy and northern Appalachia, respectively. So this is definitely something that's in my blood that I love. And it's about the time of year where I'm starting seeds, starting to get ready for planting outside. So I decided that I wanted to make a gardening show so you can come along that journey with me, and hopefully we'll learn some new things together. So we'll be back in a minute to talk about starting our seed. All right, we are ready to get started. So for the first episode, we're going to talk about starting seeds. Now, by the time this gets uploaded, it's probably going to be March 18th or 19th. But as we all know, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. It's also the feast day of St. Gertrude of Nivelle, who, as of the 1980s, was the patron saint of gardening and cats, among other things. So I'm a big fan of that. I enjoy that version of the day, mostly because I like pagans and don't like getting drunk in public, or at all. So usually March 17th is the day that I start my seeds. Not only does it give me a little bit of extra time, because I know it sounds early, but just in case anything goes awry, I have time to start more plants or buy plants that are already grown, depending on when the problems arise. But also it's because, honestly, I have seasonal affective disorder. Your fabulous neighborhood kitchen witch tends to get a little blue in the winter. It gets hard, to be honest with you. And January and February tend to drag on pretty badly around here, and by the time you get to March, it seems like it wants to be spring, but then it just starts snowing again. March in Pennsylvania, it could be better. So usually by March, I'm kind of down, and but this definitely helps brighten up my day because I get to watch tiny little baby plants being born into this world, and that is amazing, and that definitely does get me out of my winter doldrums. So what we're going to do is start with just some containers, some shallow, wide containers like this. These are actually soup container lids from microwavable soup containers, and some that I just cut apart old recycling with. Honestly, if you can find Petri dishes, that would be perfect and not make you look like a crazy hoarder. But anyway, I've been doing this for a long time, so I have a lot of different ones. But anyway, so we're going to start with coffee filters. I'm not helping the crazy hoarder vibe, I know. But because coffee filters have such a nice tight weave to them, whenever the plants start popping out roots, they don't get stuck in the coffee filter. I used to use, oh my god, I used to use paper towels, but because they had a wider weave to them, it tended to cause a lot of problems with the burgeoning root system. So what I like to do is we take our coffee filter, fold it in half, and you always want to make sure you have that fold. That's going to be important. And then fold it again. Take a pair of scissors and trim on that second fold. So you have two pieces like that, so you can open it up. And like I said, you want to make sure you keep that fold. So we're going to take one of our containers and measure it up, and then just trim off the excess. Go. And now we have something that looks like that, roughly. It doesn't need to be pretty because it's gonna get thrown out in a few weeks. All right. What I also like to do is, and you can see on some of these I already have labels on them for things that I've grown regularly and labels that have survived you know, going through this process and then going through the dishwasher. So like these are cherry tomatoes, but what I like to do is for these that are unmarked, I take some painter's tape and a pen. This is just a white jelly roller. I'm an artist in another part of my life, so I tend to have odd pens laying around. But you can use Sharpies, you can use ballpoint pens. This is just literally just a jelly roll pen that I got off of Amazon for like $3 because I needed a white pen. And just take a strip of painter's tape, stick it on the side, and write down what it is. Honestly, it works pretty well. It's cheap. You probably have this stuff at home. So not only is it cost effective, but it's mostly just cost effective because it kind of makes you look like you are you don't know what you're doing. But it works, I swear. So what I'm going to do is cut down the second half of this. Make sure we have one of these for each. We cut a couple of these earlier. There we go, and a short one. Just do this real quick. And remember, always keeping, always keeping a fold intact. It doesn't have to be the original one, but these are the little coffee filter pockets that we're going to keep our seeds in. So we need to make sure that we have something to cover over them. There we go. And I can use that for a different one later. So this is a very small amount of what what I usually plant. It's about 3 times this, and sometimes I do buy some extra ones. Okay, so we can start with our seeds. What we're going to do, open this up, and this is our zucchinis. And for some reason, I have 2 sets of zucchini seeds, and I don't know why. So we're going to just packet here. Just pour out a few. Give them a little bit of space in there. You don't want them all crowding on top of each other. And maybe stick a few of these in there too. Just because I don't know. It's the same. It's Black Beauty zucchini. And I just don't know why I have 2 packets of it in there. Okay. And we're going to cover that over. And there we go. That's about all there is to it except for the watering. So what I like to do is I just keep a small container. I have 1,000 of these. These are little Chinese food containers that they're actually pretty durable, so I reuse them. And this is an ear bulb or an eyedropper, I don't remember which, but it's just something that'll store a small amount of water. What we want to do, try to avoid tap water unless you have a really good well, because the chlorine and chemicals in normal tap water, like I live in a small city, so I have water that comes through a water treatment plant. But it does have chlorine and some chemicals in it. So I try to do spring water, bottled spring water, or bottled distilled water. Or if you have a water filter, that'll work too. And all you do is just cup a little bit of water. And just, there you go. Make sure you keep the coffee filter a little bit damp. And actually, that's another good thing about the coffee filter, is it kind of covers over top and it will soak up any liquid that's in there, so it'll keep a nice little damp blanket over our seeds. Now the important thing is that we need, so you don't want to overwater them. So if you have a lot of water left in the bottom, go ahead and dump that out. We want to just, there we go. We don't want to drown them because that will kill our seeds in later stages when they start to open up a little bit. So you want to be sure that you don't overwater them, but you want to make sure that you don't underwater them. So what I do is I usually collect these in a container. Normally I use like a casserole dish, and I line them in the casserole dish. This year though, I got a nice air fry basket that I have not used yet, and I probably will regret putting these in here when I decide to make fried chicken sometime. But this is actually great because it has it's all metal mesh, so it promotes a lot of airflow, and that's a good thing. So what I normally do is I just kind of stack all of my seed cups in. You know, sometimes I'll do another layer, just as long as, you know, something like that, just so that you don't want to put anything on top of anything else, because that will encourage mold growth, and that's not good. You don't want to grow those plants. And so the trick is you want to keep these in a fairly dark place. You don't need to put them in direct light, and in fact, it's not really that great if you do put them in direct light, but you need to keep them nice and warm. So you know, if you have like a corner where you have a radiator, or if you have forced air, somewhere where it's a little bit of a dark corner, that's perfect. You want to keep them warm. You want to keep them, well, not bright. It doesn't have to be super dark, but it doesn't. You don't want it to be super bright either. It's always a challenge in my house because I have an old house and a broken furnace. So this time of year, it's always a little sketchy how it's going to be, you know, handled. But we usually figure it out okay. Now, what I normally do is I keep these nearby so I can keep an eye on them. I work out of my house, so every time I take a break, I can just sort of go over and check and see if they need a little bit of water. You know, and that's about it. And it's a fun journey to get to watch them, the little seedlings popping out of their shells. You know, I really enjoy it. It's a kind of a fun way to watch them grow that you don't get when you just go out and buy a plant and put it in the dirt. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I do that too because, well, let's talk the zucchinis. I'm not good with zucchinis. I can go buy zucchinis and I still manage to kill them somehow. I don't know how. I know everybody's like, but zucchinis are so easy. No, I don't know what it is I do, which sucks because I love zucchinis. So anyway, that's about it for starting your seeds. That's my process. It's pretty simple. You probably have a lot of stuff that you needed at home, and it's cheap to do, and it's, you know, fun to watch these little guys grow. Just, you know, keep them damp but not too wet, and that's about it. And we're going to probably at the end of the growing season, maybe October or November, we're going to talk about harvesting seeds from the things that we've grown. So we have sort of heirloom seeds that we can do for next year, which is pretty fun. And the next episode, in probably a few weeks, is going to be talking about repotting aloe plants, because I have too many of them. We're going to get to that too. Oh my god, they copulate like crazy. So I started out with one small plant, and now I have about 15 maybe more than that. I haven't counted in a while. But I try to do that every spring and every fall. So next episode, probably in a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about repotting them, pulling off the pups, and just doing some general maintenance on our aloes. So stay tuned, and we'll see you later. Happy gardening! Boom, dicky, 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 boom.